By roommates. The main reason, honestly, for this is so that I can try to actually have it so that next week it's ChäoS Head again. Just try to sort of keep the schedule the way it's realistically speaking supposed to be. Sadly, not really working out that way completely at times, but nonetheless. But let me go and actually start my timer, since I actually have remembered now to actually set my timer. So there we go. I'm not 100% sure if I read this or not. I think I did. Honestly, I probably did, but just on the off chance that I didn't. In Insu, I was a god. There was no need to be frightened by demons. Everyone revered me. I always thought about how wonderful it would be if I could stay forever in such a comfortable world. Or a comforting world.
おおエンジェルハイロ来たこれ超レアすげえ
Okay.
これは早速使わないと装備おおキャラの見た目変わったすげえこれすげえ見て見ろってグリムあナイトハルト自重しろうっせえ死ねよ負け組ちょっと街に戻って見せびらかしてこようかな
This character appearance did not change. Maybe it changes later. But that looks exactly the same as it was before. Whatever. Having got to my paws on an ultra rare item, I'd been. Okay, should we? That. Okay. Having got to my paws on an ultra rare item that I had been searching for forever, I was in hyper mode. My depression had been completely blown away. I'm telling you, an Angel Halo is a phantasmical item with a drop rate of 0.0001%. So what, tens, hundreds, thousands, million, I believe? Yeah, I think that's what it is. I screw up after the decimal point most of the time, but I think that's what that's supposed to be. It's got like a 1/1,000,000% chance of dropping. If I'm getting that correct. Its only effect is to change a character's appearance, and it doesn't have any practical use, but on the flip side, since those around you can tell at a glance if you had one, you'd be the object of many envious stares. How can someone engage in an envious stare in an MMO? Unless they have an emote for envious stare, which I don't believe any do.
やったナイトハルトがまた一歩神に近づいた
I honestly have no idea what that noise is in the background after every click that I make. It seems there's a noise. Okay, that was just some background noise for this, I think. That they had play multiple times because they wanted to, I guess, see if anybody heard it. And try to keep the realism, I guess, to a degree. What a racket. Who the heck's been pounding at my door? So much for wallowing in the joy of snagging a rare item. Don't get in my way. Oh, well, we know who it is. I don't recall the person's name. I still haven't gone around to rewatching the actual series so that I can try to remember certain parts. That voice. I became dejected the second I heard that familiar voice. No doubt about it, the voice's owner was the assassin sent out by my parents, my little sister Nanami. This was going to be a headache. Why? Will she push the container off the roof that we're living on? Because yes, we are actually living on a roof inside of a shipping container. In case you didn't already catch that. Shit. A stormy period of time was about to start. I really didn't want to open it, but if I didn't, she'd run back to my parents and they'd tell me, "You should give up on living alone. After all, come back home." This building's owner was, by and large, my dad, so he could put enough pressure on me to chase me out without so much as breaking a sweat. Ugh. Doesn't get any more unreasonable than this. Shut up! Don't wail so loud! She was still violently banging on the door from outside. The walls of my container housing were made up of a single sheet of iron plating, so sounds echoed around the room to an amazing extent. She knew that and was doing it on purpose. Helpless, I released the inner padlock and opened the door.
あ、やっと出てきた。生存確認。
This lolly-bodied runt is my little sister, 1 year younger. Only 1 year, okay.
呼んでるんだから返事くらいしてよね。お兄死んじゃったかもって思ったじゃん。
Every time we see each other, she starts complaining. As could be seen from how she stood with her hands on her hips and her head thrown back, she was a cheeky little brat. Well, she's not standing there with her hands on her hips and her head thrown back, at least according to the image that we are seeing. Her existence brought me 100 disadvantages and not one bit of benefit.
うわ、相変わらず部屋の中汚。ちょっとは片付けなよ。
No. Naname hopped on inside without obtaining my consent. Wait, do we sleep up there? No, you can't possibly sleep up there. You got all those boxes up there. So where the hell do we actually sleep? Or was there a bed back there that I forgot about? Probably a bed back there that I forgot about. It's because she's my little sister that she gets ahead of herself like this. When I see those guys who mow over little sister types, I want to yell at them at the top of my lungs. You gotta face the reality of it. Well, sister or not, I didn't think she had a bad face. Her kind of childish looking face might be smack in the strike zone for lolly lovers. As her blood related brother though, none of that mattered. Rather, it made me think of her as being babyish, no way would I fap to her. Ah, by the way, I don't mind lolly types as long as they're 2D. Okay, thanks for clearing that. I never would have taken that guess.
カビクサ。お兄の部屋って相変わらず不潔。掃除しろっていつも言ってるじゃん。どうしてしないの？
My mouse is flickering and it's annoying. It's very annoying.
まあ、どうせ掃除してくれる彼女なんかいないだろうし。お兄ってズボラだからこうなるのは目に見えてるけどさ。
I don't know. I think it's kind of messed up if you actually require somebody else to be able to actually clean up. I guess the implication here is actually supposed to be if you had a girlfriend, you would probably be cleaning your room. But because he doesn't have one, he doesn't bother. Because he's like, oh, nobody's gonna go in my room anyway. That's the only way that would really make any sense to me.
こうなったらやっぱりナナが掃除しに来てあげるしかないかな。
Oh, please don't.
だが断る。
なんでよ。
お前に部屋荒らされたくない。
You never let somebody else clean your room because they will usually screw something up. They will move something somewhere from where you had it before. They will forget where they moved it to when you need it and you go to ask them where they moved it. It's always advisable to do it yourself. That way you know where the stuff is, hopefully.
きっとそれがわざわざ生存確認しに来てあげてる妹に言うセリフ？
Well, if the building's owner is our father, I will be honest with you. I don't think you had to go very far, depending on what kind of building this is. If it's an apartment complex, yeah, I don't think you had to go very far. Unless you live in a completely different apartment complex. Which I kind of doubt would be the case. You yourself don't show your brother an ounce of respect. Besides, no one asked you to come check on my survival.
まったくなんでこんな面倒ばっかりかけさせる兄弟と血つながってるんだろう。たまに嫌になっちゃうよ。はあ、なんか喉乾いちゃった。飲み物もらうね。
Well, it looks like there's a Coca-Cola can there, or at least what is supposed to essentially be a Coca-Cola knockoff of some sort. Advancing further and further into the room, Nanami opened the fridge without asking permission. Which I think that's... no, that can't be the fridge, but maybe it is. Looks like it's the side of the... no, it can't be. Maybe it is. I don't know. We'll assume it's not. That has to be it, so we'll just assume that's the fridge right there.
コーラしかないじゃん。ミルクティーとか用意しといてよ。
I've got no idea what the hell these are. I think these are meant to be the decisions, so we'll go with the red one this time around because I think I went with the green last time. Yeah, I think that's how the game handles decisions. Like, you don't know what the actual effect is until basically the end of the game. And I think some have 3 choices, of which it's neither of those up there, but it's rather just continuing on with the conversation or something like that.
知らんがな。
しょうがないな。じゃあコーラもらうね。
As usual, it looked like she had no intention of getting my approval first. Taking a plastic bottle of Coke, one that, by the way, I drunk from earlier out of the fridge, she opened the lid, hesitated for a second, then gulped it straight down. Damn it! Just who did that Nanami think she was? Someone like you deserves to drink too much Coke, ruin your stomach, and get carried off to the hospital. If so, I'd be able to get by without you threatening my peaceful time to myself. What a harsh person you are. Ah, would it ever really happen? The second I thought I heard Nanami suddenly let out a groan, the plastic bottle slipped out of her hand, sending Coke splashing all over the floor. It got on the manga magazines and CDs I'd left down there.
お前
I started to tell her not to contaminate my room, but instead I took a startled breath. Nanami's eyes peeled wide open as she pressed painfully at her own neck. Her mouth puckered open and shut like that of a carp. This doesn't sound good.
ななみ
She spat out blood, red, no, more blackish than red. Blood mingled with the Coke on the floor. Yeah, this doesn't sound good. Yeah, maybe that wasn't such a great decision. Nanami collapsed weakly on top of that. Her whole body convulsing as she began writhing in anguish. She dug her nail into her neck as though to tear it to bits. Yep. Sounds like that definitely wasn't a good decision. Because this probably occurred because I chose red rather than green. Okay, well, now we know better, huh? Careless of the fact that her skirt had flipped up and I could see her panties, Nanami kicked around convulsively. It was a flippant agony, but I thought blurrily that she was like a fish thrown up on deck. Not knowing what to do, I covered my ears. But even then, I could hear my little sister's dying screams. Wonder how this is gonna affect things down the road. Her face plastered with tears and drool and blood, Nanami finally stopped shuddering.
ななみ
I tentatively called out to her. No reaction. She lay splayed there unbecomingly. The smell of ammonia stung my nose. Had it been Nanami who pissed herself? Or had it been me? I tried poking her lightly in the shoulder. She didn't so much as twitch. It made me feel a little ill. But I brought my face close to her mouth as I could. She wasn't breathing. She was dead. Yep, okay, definitely a terrible decision. Nanami was dead. It resembled the deaths by poison you often see in TV dramas. Then the dots connected. I had poisoned the coke to kill Nanami. Of course I had.
なぜ殺した
Good question. Why did you? You didn't particularly like her, but didn't sound like you particularly hated her enough to want her dead, necessarily. Though I'd imagine it myself, it certainly made me feel pretty bad. Haha! Yeah, okay, turns out that wasn't really a thing. But I haven't played really any of this game. I only played enough to check and make sure it ran when I played it personally. Let's see, we got about 3 minutes. In other words, I'd overdone it. No matter how impertinent Nanami might act, I shouldn't have envisioned such a realistic manner of death for her. I should have stopped at something like whacking her with a wet noodle.
どうしたの
Having finished drinking her coke, Nanami looked over at me curiously.
なんか顔色悪いけど
But maybe that was really a vision of the future. Haha, no, probably not, but that would be an interesting twist, I think. Him thinking it was all just his imagination, but it actually ends up happening. I shook my head a little and said,
ごめん
何が
とにかくごめん
Though it may have been part of a daydream, I put you through some awful stuff. I'm sorry. But that goes to show much resentment's been building inside me in response to your insolence. I'd like you to understand that.
別に謝らなくてもいいのにミルクティーがないくらいでナナ怒んないよ
Does it have to be milk tea? Can it be any tea? Can it just be milk?
それになんだかんだ言ってコーラも好きだし
Ah, wait. She drunk the rest of my Coke. Oh no, I don't have my mouse. I was about to say my mice, but no, it's a mouse, not a mice. I take back what I said earlier. I had no reason to apologize to her. She ought to cut her stomach open and kill herself. Wow, what a harsh person you are.
もう帰れ
Oh.
よ
This is him. I don't need to say anything, okay. She confirmed that I was still alive, so she had no reason to stay here. Why does she have to come up into my room each and every time?
お兄冷たい
It looked like my words had hit her where it hurt. Glaring at me, she pouted. It would be a hassle to deal with her, so I looked away.
せっかく心配して様子を見に来てあげてるのにお兄ってずっとここに引きこもって誰とも喋らずに一日を終えちゃうことだってあるんでしょ女の子と話す機会だってどうせ全くないんだよね
Shut up. Stop jeering. Jeering? Okay. Jeering. At me. I'm not into 3D girls, so there's no need for me to talk with them.
言ってみればお兄と話す女の子はナナだけってことじゃん
Kind of look happy about that.
だからさもっとナナのこと大事にしてよそしたら女の子との接し方もちょっとは分かってくるはずだし
As she spoke, Nanami picked up one of my figurines. He Hikaru from Suicide for the Light and scrutinized her intently. Don't unilaterally decide to touch one of my wives. I'll knock your lights out if you get fingerprints on her.
あとお兄は自分のことにもっと気を使って。こんなお人形さんにうつつを抜かしてる場合じゃないよ。ナナはお兄の死体の第一発見者になんかなりたくないからね。
Note that she said she does not want to be the first one to discover our dead body. What on earth was this sister of mine trying to say? Lately, she'd somehow started to give off the same kind of feeling as her mom, or our mom, which is to say, in conclusion, she's still obnoxious.
いいから帰れよ。
Trying to find a nice place to cut this because my timer just went off.
そんなに帰れ帰れ言わないでよ。お兄のバカ。
Okay, I'm just gonna wait until she leaves, which will hopefully be soon.
まだこっちには用事が残ってるの。
What do you have to do here? You know what? Screw it. I'm cutting it here. Save.